Hi guys, welcome back to Promotion and Finance for Enterprise, the summer 2019 paper. Now apologies, I just completed this out of shot. Okay, this question here, just asking what is meant by the term cash flow forecast, alright? So it is just that though, prediction of cash in and cash out from the business. Right, we've got a beautiful cash flow forecast to work through here. Okay, we've got a few numbers that we need to complete. Okay, so just pause this now and have a go at those. Okay, make sure you're good on that. Now, first one, number one here. What do we got? So what we've got to do, we've got our total inflows. We know that we've got this and plus this equals that. So therefore, if we take this and subtract that, it's going to give us the answer. It's going to tell us what the missing amount is. Okay, so that's going to be 1,140. Okay, next one down here is, of course, our total outflow. So we've got our cash in and then we've got our cash out, and how much the total of these two together, the money going out, well, of course, 2,280. Okay, last one here is 3, and we can see we've got to work out our net cash flow position here. Okay, so our net cash flow is cash in, there's our total cash in minus the total cash out. Okay, and that gives us 1,690. all right, lovely, there it is. Okay, so we can see that there, minus 2,080. Okay, and let's bring that question into shot there it is. So what are we going to do about it? Right, so what potential solutions can we offer here? Okay, so can we spread the cost of the lease? Like, let's just run back and just see what the big issue here is. Okay, now the big issue really is that he's got this big purchase of equipment going on. Okay, so could he lease that? Could he hire purchase it? Okay, so that he can break that payment down into smaller chunks throughout the rest of the period. So what can he do about that? Okay, now what other costs has he got that we could look at? Any chance he could reduce the cost of the salary? Maybe, maybe not, but you'd certainly get a mark for that. What can he do to actually boost this? To actually increase his sales as well. So that could be another area to focus upon. Although if his sales are actually looking quite good and he's actually feeling pretty good about where things are for the business, then he could actually look at increasing the prices. Okay, so there's a number of different options that he can take here. So let's just remind ourselves how to answer this, because we've got 4 marks. We've got to have a solution and explain why. So what did we say? We want to spread the cost of equipment, or buy less equipment, or lease it, hire it. Okay, anything like that, okay, is going to get us a mark. And then why is that going to help? Well, it reduces cash out flows in June. So that's why that works. All right, lovely. Next one. Okay, so, well, we said he could increase prices, didn't we? Okay, so if the business is doing well and he's feels like there's plenty of demand for it, okay, that's going to be good news if he can get away with increasing the prices. And that what that's also going to mean is that he can increase the total cash, cash inflows, okay, coming into the business. So that's going to work nicely as well. Could be that he reduces number of orders or something along those lines as well. Okay, lovely. Right, here we go. So number 6, let's have a little look, see what we've got here. So he's not sure what some of the terms mean in the statement of financial position. State the meaning of the term creditor. Okay, now the best way of thinking about this, and again, have a go at these before I give you an explanation. Make sure you're all right with these terms. But creditor, think credit card. They're basically allowing you a period of credit where you buy now and you pay later. Okay, that's what this is really for the business. Okay, so now, what does that mean? It means ultimately they are likely to be a business owed money buy Tyler's enterprise. Okay, so you buy something on credit and you got to pay later for it. Okay, state the meaning of the term capital. So this is about how the business is actually funded or financed. Okay, alternatively it could be about the assets that the business holds. All right, so you got two options in terms of how you approach this question. Could be number one, that you actually say it's the assets that the business owns, or number two, it's about how the business is actually financed. Okay, so there's two approaches to that term capital. Right, okay, so we've got a statement of financial position here. Lovely stuff. Now, what calculations do we need to do? So we need to establish what debtors level we've got. Okay, that's current assets, because that's people in debt to Tyler's business. We've got net current assets position. We've got total fixed assets, and then we've got this one. All right, so let's have a little run through and just work this out. So first up, we add these two together. That's going to give us our total here. So that's going to come to 6,415. All right, now next up, we can see that we've got this plus this equals this. So question is, what's the missing amount? So if we take this and subtract that, and you can see why you've got to remember your calculators for this exam. Absolutely fundamental. We can see that that number's going to be 939. Sorry if that's coming out slightly dodgy there. 939. And then we've got this net current assets down here. Okay, so how do we get the net current assets figure? Well, of course, we've got to take the current assets and subtract the current liabilities, and that gives us an amount of what, 313. All right, so then finally we've got to establish our net assets position. So what is the net assets position? Well, this is very, very simple really. Okay, but many students, most students I would say, would not be able to get it. Okay, the way you've got to do this, you've got to take your total fixed assets. Okay, so you've got to take those fixed assets, you get your fixed assets total, and then you add your net current assets. Okay, so if you do that, then you'll be able to identify this. So you can see it's going to be this one plus our net current assets figure. So 6415 plus 313 is going to give us 6728. Okay, lovely stuff. All right, love it. Now let's move it on. So what do we got to do next? Well, we've got to do a bit of work on liquidity ratios. So calculate the current ratio for Tyler's enterprise. So it's just worth me getting this back in shot. We can see how to do it. Current assets divided by current liabilities. Okay, so that's what we've got to do there. So if you just identify our current assets figure and our current liabilities, so we can see that our current assets is going to be 1565 divided by 1252. Okay, and then that is going to give us a ratio. So what is that ratio? Well, it's going to be 1.25 to 1. Okay, so it's going to be 1.25 to 1. Now make sure you include your working as we talked about earlier. Okay, but you can see I did that working just to establish that. Now next one, liquid capital, slightly trickier ratio to calculate, because now you've got to subtract the stock or the inventory. Why the inventory? Well, because it's the least liquid asset. Your customers, your debtors should be paying you fairly shortly, but you've got to turn this in. You've got to turn your stock into cash, basically, and that can take a little longer. Right, so how do we do this? Well, this time it's slightly different. You can see my calculation current ratio is just on the side here. What we've got to do, we've got to get our total current assets and then subtract this 626 figure, work through that and divide that by our current liabilities. Now this then suggests that we don't have quite as good a ratio on this, and yeah, you won't have quite as good a ratio on that, and that stands to reason. Okay, it's 0.75 to 1. So what does that tell us? It tells us that there's 75p of current assets for every pound of current debts, okay, or current liabilities. Here there's £1.25 of total current assets for every pound of current liabilities. Okay, right, lovely. Now Tyler wants to improve the liquidity of his enterprise. He has looked at his statement of financial position to see what actions he could take to help him to do this. Explain one action. Well, we can see one action here. Remember the differences between these calculations, and we can see them both here. This one subtracts the inventory. So if you're taking the inventory away, you can see that the ratio worsens. He's gone from £1.25 of current assets to £1 of current liabilities, down to 75p of liquid current assets. Okay, so what does he need to do? Well, one obvious step is to reduce inventory holding. So if he reduces his inventory holding and has more cash in the bank rather than in stock, that's going to be good news. Okay, so inventory and stock are the same term, of course. Okay, so I'm using them interchangeably there. All right, so reduce inventory holding. Love it. Okay, why is that going to help? Okay, well, this will boost, or this will increase cash position. Okay, so it means that he's getting rid of his stock, he's selling it and turning it into cash. Okay, all right, lovely. Now on to activity 7, very nearly there, guys. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Tyler is about to launch his wedding photography video service. Tyler's enterprise sole trader. Okay, so it's a one-person business, very little experience in marketing. In addition, he has only £600 to spend on promotion. These two factors will have an impact on his choice of promotional method. Explain one impact of each factor on the choice of promotional method Tyler may use. Okay, right, so one impact of each factor on the choice of promotional method. Okay, fine. Right, so when it comes to the size of the budget, notice again we've got 4 marks here, so we've got to identify them and explain each one in turn. Okay, so first up, he may have to use less expensive promotion. Okay. All right, there it is. Use less expensive promotion. Lovely stuff. Okay, now, why is that going to be important? Okay, well, of course, he's only got a limited amount of money, but also this could mean that his promotion could be less effective. Okay, there's a risk there. It's not always true, but it could be. Okay, now, it could be also he doesn't put the right image across on his marketing, okay, because he's strapped for cash, okay, so you know that's a nice sort of option that you can take there, okay. Next up, the size of the enterprise. Well, it may be that he actually chooses the wrong method, okay, so he may use the wrong method. And marketing can be expensive, okay, so it can cost money. He may use the wrong method, so that's something else that could happen. And why might that happen? Well, remember what it says here. It says he's got very little experience, okay, so we can relate that back to that, okay, due to lack of experience. Okay. All right, due to lack of experience, okay, and he may not have the expertise necessary, something along those lines. Okay, all right, lovely. Now, last question then. Okay, so this is the 6 marker at the end. Okay, now notice when it comes to your structure for this, you've very much got to go through option 1, option 2, and discuss the advantages, disadvantages of both, and then reach judgment. Okay, so you should highlight which one you think is best and why. Right, so what's this one saying? It's sole trader, yeah, very limited promotional budget. It's not sure which of these methods and asks you for your help. Evaluate which of the methods Tyler should use to raise awareness for his new wedding photography and video service. Analysis, key advantages and disadvantages of each method as a way of promoting his enterprise. A conclusion that recommends the best method of promotion to use the new services being offered. Okay, all right, so let's have a look. Firstly, option 1, he's got a wedding exhibition, so let's focus on that first up. exhibition. Okay, so what can we say about the exhibition? Well, it means that he is going to be raising awareness with target audience. Guess who's going to be going to a wedding exhibition? Okay, raise awareness with target audience. So that's going to work nicely. Okay, so that's going to segment his market quite nicely. Okay, it also means that he's going to have the opportunity to have face-to-face meetings. Okay, so you know, that's kind of good news. All right, so the potential for face-to-face meetings, lovely. Now it will also enable him to actually explain, able to explain and give examples or show, demonstrate, whatever you want to say there, okay, and give examples of his work, okay. Now, what about downsides of this? Okay, well, there are downsides. There's the cost of having a display, so he needs to present himself actually professionally, doesn't he? So he's going to need some various things to look the part, okay. So cost of having a display, there's that element first up. Okay, there may also be competition. Okay, so there might be competition at that same wedding fair. I'd imagine there would be. So you got that issue of competitors. Okay, and sales, of course, not guaranteed. And what if not many people turn up to this? Well, he spent a day there and hasn't got anything to show for it. Okay, so what about the magazine article? Okay, so that was our alternative. Publish an article in a local wedding magazine. Okay, so well, it's using geographic segmentation. So we could put something down about that. Geographic segmentation. Segmentation, yeah, okay, so that's nice, okay, and of where Tyler works, lives, works, okay, love it. Okay, what else can we say? Well, it could also be the fact that the article might be for a 3-monthly or bi-monthly magazine, okay, so it may be, or even a monthly magazine. It's going to last a lot longer than, say, an exhibition, okay, so it could be something along those lines. Now, that means that the article could have a long lifespan, All right. Now, there might also be some control that he can actually have of how he presents himself and what he says. Okay, so control over the key message, Okay, so he can decide exactly what message he's going to put across and so on. All right, lovely. Okay, what about downsides of this? Well, it could be that the article or the magazine may have low circulation, so it doesn't have many customer numbers. It might be that there's planning that's necessary to be done. Planning is required, okay. It could be something along those lines. Article might not be read, okay. Customers might not read magazine, or potential customers might not read magazine. So all of that is going to work nicely, okay. So we've got to now finish this up and decide what we think is best and why, okay. So just there's the case study information, okay, and the question. So remember how I suggest you do this, which is really just to answer the question, okay, answer the question and justify. So answer the question and justify. Okay, justify what your answer is. Okay, say what it may depend upon. It depends upon how popular that magazine is, for instance. Okay, it depends how widely distributed it is, and then what you think is most important. I think for this set industry, and thinking about my wife as well, and when we got married, like, you want to have a face-to-face meeting with your photographer, okay? So I think the wedding exhibition is going to be the way to go. Great stuff, guys. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye-bye.